All right, we're on. This is our second episode of Celebrity Hunting Guys. We've got Mike Poindexter on from Wildcrete Targets. Mike has 30 years of ag experience as a walnut grower. Started archery in 2016. Started hunting with a bow later that year. Began importing Wildcrete Targets in 2018. He is 3/4 of the way through a super slam for the African Games. Killed 5 of the 7 dangerous in Africa with a bow and has hunted in 10 countries on 5 continents so far. Former semi-pro paintballer. He has a degree in economics from Utah State and 54 years old. Mike, welcome, man. Good to have you.
Well, good to be here.
Heck of a resume, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
The only thing that beats being here is being in Africa.
I bet.
Yeah, for sure. So you just came back from Africa, right?
Yeah, I got back 2 days ago. I'm still jet lagged and haven't even unpacked my suitcase yet.
Well, we'll forgive you if you get a little brain fog from the jet lag. I know it's late in the evening here in Oklahoma. It's probably 5 or 6 o'clock your time. And welcome back to the U.S. I want to know how this trip went, but I also want to know, like, man, you've been around the block a little bit when it comes to hunting in other areas, other continents, other countries. 10 countries on 5 continents. Holy crap, man. I don't know if I've ever met anybody that's done that. So I'm super interested in hearing some of your stories. And then also we want to talk about the Wildcrete Targets later in this podcast as well. So tell us about this recent trip and then kind of let it flow wherever it needs to go on some of your former trips.
Okay, so on this trip, I was in Zambia, and it was my first trip to Zambia. Kind of a somewhat of a makeup hunt. My second time to Africa, I went for an elephant, and I had a hell of a deal on an elephant in Zimbabwe. And my guide told me that I wouldn't be able to get a bow permit with it. And I looked up all the data. I'm like, no, it's legal. There's no law against it at the time. And there's no reason for them not to give me a bow permit. He said, they won't give you one. I said, I'll risk it. And he was right. I kept asking and asking. They kept delaying. And finally, 2 weeks before I left, they denied me in writing that I couldn't shoot a Cape buffalo, a hippo, a crocodile, or an elephant with a bow. And I'd already booked my elephant hunt. So it was the only rifle hunt I ever did. Nothing against rifle hunters. That's just not what drives me. I want the extra challenge, and so ever since then, I've been trying to get an elephant hunt that was reasonably priced. Starting late in life hunting, I've got a lot to make up for, and so I'm both time constrained and financially constrained on what I want to get done. But I finally was able to get a good deal on an elephant, and it was non-exportable. That's fine. How many elephants can you put in your house, right?
Yeah.
But I got a tuskless elephant and a hippo and a crocodile. And I've done a lot of dangerous game hunting, but this was the first time I started thinking before I left. I'm like, better make sure my life insurance is paid up. And it's kind of kicking myself for not making a sorry kids video before I left. But, I tell you, well, if you're out there hunting a hippo on land with a bow and arrow, that's pretty dangerous. And tuskless elephant cow is the most dangerous animal on the planet to hunt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a pretty bold statement. I want to know, like, I'm not disagreeing with you. I have no idea what the most dangerous is, but why, in your opinion, is that like one of the most dangerous? What makes it so dangerous?
An elephant cow with a calf is the most dangerous animal on the planet because they're protective, and if they want to get you, unless you have a 375 H&H Magnum or better and a proper brain shot, you're dead. Period. Yeah. There's no survival. And you get a tuskless on top of that. They don't have the big tusks that these other elephants have like that. So they're born without weaponry. So what do they have? Little man syndrome. They have to have a Chihuahua personality to make up for the lack of weaponry. Now, against a person, if your odds of surviving an elephant with tusks zero. The odds of surviving an elephant without tusk is also zero. So them losing the tusk does not really give you any better odds of survival, but they're a lot nastier. And so they just have a horrible temperament. They will attack for no reason. I mean, I know rifle hunters that will not do a tuskless elephant hunt. And they'll like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do a tuskless. It's just too dangerous. And I told the person that owns the video company that does films all my safaris, and I told them I was hunting a tuskless, and they were pretty shocked. And so definitely a dangerous hunt. And I don't expect that I'll ever be on another hunt as dangerous. I think it's going to be more dangerous than the polar bear hunt. It was definitely more dangerous than the Cape buffalo hunts I've been on, and more dangerous than the lion hunt. And I was charged by a lion, and still that elephant hunt was more dangerous.
Wow, that's insane to me. I mean, I know they're huge and they can stomp on you and get to you. Like, there's really nothing to hide behind there, right? Like, so I mean, they can get to you no matter what. Like, it just blows my mind though that a tuskless elephant would be the most dangerous. That's just crazy to me.
Well, they're in herds too, and so when you're hunting a lion, you're generally not hunting a lion in a herd of 20.
Gotcha.
You're not going after an entire pride to pick out a lion. You're hunting a solitary lion, or maybe there's a second one. But when you're hunting an elephant, you're especially like a tuskless, it's in the matriarchal herd, and so you're going to have to go into a herd of 50 or 100 elephants and start looking around for one with no tusks and try and sneak up on it and get a shot with it without any of the other elephants smelling you, hearing you, or seeing you. And there were times where we were out there and elephants on 3 sides of us, and a hippo on land walking around in the tall grass as well. So it's nerve-wracking, I will say that.
Get the old ticker going, huh?
Yeah, and the game scouts or the park rangers, they're terrified of elephants, absolutely terrified. One of them fired off a warning shot a little early, I thought. My guide also thought that. Spooked the elephant herd, and they left, and they didn't come back for 7 days. Came back a week later and got my the elephant that I was about to draw back on, and had to deal with the elephants that had charged us prior when they were finally back. But yeah, I got my hippo on day 2. This was very interesting. So we're on the Zambezi River. I mean, like right on the river. There's a bit of a drop off, so we don't have to worry about crocs coming into the camp in the middle of the night. Had 3 elephants outside my room a couple nights. Closest I got to an elephant was at night 4 yards away.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, you can get some pretty close things. I couldn't shoot it at night. It was a nice tusker, but I didn't have the permit for a tusker, and can't shoot at night either. But so we're right on the Zambezi River, and there's a little island in the middle of the river that technically was on the Zambia side, not the Zimbabwe side. And the farmer living on that, there was a fisherman. He was living on that island during the harvest. So they cleared a little area out there, planted some corn, and we're walking around looking for hippos. And we see this path through his corn and see 4 little pieces of wood, like branches, about that big around and about maybe 3 feet tall, and some netting, like mosquito netting over them. And that's where he and his wife would sleep in the field during the growing season to try and scare off the hippos when they would come in to try and eat his crop.
Holy crap.
And I mean, it's kind of conflicted because you have a lot of these people that are moving into game management areas and trying to farm there, and they shouldn't be farming there, but they're there. And as a group, you may dislike them, but once you meet them, they're nice. They help you out. They give you whatever. Hey, where are the hippos? Oh, there were some over here. The other ones are over there, and this is what time they're coming in. And nice, friendly people, but the danger that they have to endure living with those kind of animals. I mean, could you imagine if you're farming in what state are you in again?
Oklahoma.
So let's say, for example, you're farming in Oklahoma and you're in the middle of your peanut field or or whatever other crop they've got there. And
Yeah,
you have to go
peanuts.
and you have to go camping in a tent to try and scare off the wolves that they have reintroduced.
Yeah.
Would you be cool? Would you be cool with that? And you're gonna be staying there with your wife and kids.
That's the part that gets me. Like me myself, maybe. Wife and kids, no way.
Yeah.
No way.
And what do you think's more dangerous? A wolf, a mountain lion, or a hippo on land?
I'm gonna pick the hippo on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, second day I was able to get a hippo right outside right across the from where he is. There are 3 hippos right out by where he was sleeping.
What was it? Was the hippo in water when you shot it?
It was in the river, but standing up on in the shallow area. So he had about maybe that much of his back, exposed, like about a foot height-wise of his back, and maybe about half the distance of his back. So I had part of the arch there, and I couldn't get a good broadside shot. I was almost perfectly behind him, and so I went as far to the right as I could, and I was off maybe 15, 20 degrees from straight behind, and I couldn't get a double lung. Shot him 1 arrow. My guide was a little concerned. He thought that I hit him too far back. I wasn't that concerned. I'm like, I know I got a lung there. Because he's looking at, oh yeah, it's far back, but I'm shooting from behind, so it's going to hit him far back and move forward. And this arrow, it was one of these right here, and it buried down to about right there. So I have that much penetration inside the hippo.
Let's talk about.
Let's talk a minute. What do you got? What do you got there? Set up.
I bought these arrows in 2017 for my first hunt that I was going to go to get elephant. They wouldn't give me my bow permit, so these have been sitting in a box for 8 years, almost 9 years actually. And so I finally got to shoot them. This was one of my 2 test arrows that I had. It's 1,250 grains. It's a 30% FOC. So you've got a lot of weight up in the front. So let me see. Yeah, you can see that's the balance there on that. Yeah, so very, very heavy in the front. 315 grain broadhead. They have 350s now. They don't make the 315 anymore. This broadhead's no longer made. It's called a Nanook, but it's basically the same style as the Alaskan broadhead, but it's vented. So that cuts out a little bit of the weight in the middle so that it's a little bit bigger. And I only have 3 of these. And so I used one for the elephant, and I got one here, and I had one other one there just in case I needed to do a follow-up on the elephant. And I shot the hippo with a Alaskan, so it's a slightly smaller than this, and it's solid. Hit him in the 45 yards, and he died in the Zambezi River. He crossed over and could not get out of the river before he expired, and then the current caught him. And you have a very, very high chance of losing your animal in the Zambezi. That river's no joke. So our guy, he died in a tree, and they thought, oh, he just fell underneath this tree in the water, but he started drifting downstream. They went in there to try and find him, and a couple of the guys went in a boat downstream just in case he sank down, and an hour and a half he'd surface. And they found him a couple miles downstream. So they tied a rope to his foot, and we're going to tow him back. Well, they get the boat, and they put the boat on as high up as it'll go without stalling, and it's barely moving forward because of how much drag they're getting from this big bloated hippo floating behind their little tiny piece of crap boat. And so what we ended up having to do, we had the very long rope. It was a couple hundred feet at least, maybe 200-300 feet. They would take the boat and go up to as far as they could go, find a tree, tie the boat to the tree, and then start tug of warring the hippo up the river by hand. Then once they got the boat, they had a second boat that didn't even have a motor. They'd use oars and paddle up like a canoe with the rope, take it further up. We'd go up and meet them there once they did that, but we're holding on to the hippo. And then once they get up to the other tree, start tug of warring it again. And we just keep doing that. And we have to pull it 2 miles upstream.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was a 3.5 hour process. And I was with them. Normally some guys that just kind of let the guides or the trackers and skinners do that. But this was my hippo, and I wanted to sweat to earn it. And
Sure.
I was exhausted that night, and I definitely earned it. But I also was really happy because I know that this was a hippo that was a direct threat to somebody I met.
Oh, no kidding.
And someone who I had some interactions with, and found him to be a nice guy. So pretty happy about that. No one really got meat from that other than the hyenas and some leopards and whatnot, because we used it for bait. Fed some to crocodiles. Day 4, actually it's day 5 technically, because I lost an entire day on the way over there from a flight cancellation. So my 10-day hunt got cut down to 9, and no compensation for that. So I just lost 10% of my safari booking. So I was a little under the gun already, because trying to get a hippo, a croc, and an elephant with a bow in 10 days is already a tall order. Now it's down to 9.
Yeah.
So second day I was hunting, I got the hippo. Fourth day I was hunting, we got the croc. And for the hippo, we were trying to sit in a blind, and we're not able to get one in a blind, and we ended up spot and stalking to get the hippo. Same thing with the croc. We had set up a nice bait station right off the Zambezi, and just could not get the crocs to come into the bait, and they were sunning up on the bank a little ways from us. So we snuck up on them for a spot and stalk, and got busted by a couple of them. And one of them, there was a croc laying this way, and another croc on top of him at a 90-degree angle, covering his front leg. I thought I saw the crease. Instead, his leg was pushed back, and I saw his elbow. So I shot him a little far back. I was worried that I hit the heart. You can't hit the heart on a croc.
Really?
If you hit the heart, they will bleed out so fast. They're going to go in the water to get away, and they'll die before they make it to shore. And a crocodile will not float. It'll sink and it'll stay at the bottom, and it'll just get washed away and eaten by the other crocs. So you want to hit them in a lung or 2 lungs, but no heart. And then they'll feel their lungs filling up, and they'll think, hey, I'm suffocating, I'm drowning, and they'll come up on the shore. Not hit the heart, because if you hit the heart, they will die too fast and they won't come out of the water. Because as soon as you hit them, they're going to go in the water. And they've got to live long enough to realize they're drowning or suffocating and come up out of the water. And I thought that I hit his heart. I didn't, but I thought I did. And so we thought we lost him in the river. And we spent almost an hour with grappling hooks, throwing them into the river and then dragging them across the river, hoping to hook his body. Spent all this time doing that. My camera guy goes back to the blind to get something and sees a crocodile on the bait, and he knows I've already shot my crocodile. So I can hear I go back to check the video, I can hear him talking in the microphone. He says, I'm going to see how close I can sneak up to this crocodile. And he gets right up on it and realizes this crocodile's dead. My croc came up to the shore right by the bait and died right by the bait. So, but we weren't in the blind, so we didn't see that happen. So I don't know how long it was for him to die. My hippo only lasted a few minutes. The crocodile, we found him an hour later, and he was stone dead. I'm guessing he only lasted a few minutes, but I don't know how long.
Just long enough to get to the bait pile.
Yeah. And then the elephant, I did not get the elephant until 3 o'clock on the last day.
Oh, man. Down to the wire.
Yeah. I checked my how much I walked. They say you hunt an elephant with your legs. They're always on the move, and you do a lot of walking. And for my first elephant hunt, the one in Zimbabwe with a rifle, we did 72 miles on foot.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. It was 80 miles. It was 80 miles on foot. It was 320 miles on dirt trails looking for tracks, and 80 miles on foot. They say
how many days was that 80 miles?
That was in 9 days.
9 days, 80 miles in 9 days. So averaging 10 miles a day, roughly.
Yeah. Yeah, we were doing 14-hour days there in Zim on that one. This one we were working pretty close to that, not quite 15, not quite 14, but it was long. We'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning for the hippos, and then 6 o'clock in the morning when we were down to just the elephant, and we would get back after 6. So probably about 12 to 13 hours a day on the elephant, and add a couple more when we were still doing the hippos and crocs. But this one it was 65 miles that we walked. And they say you walk a mile for every pound of ivory. So I'm hunting a tuskless, so I should rebate. If there's no ivory, I should just step out of camp and no.
Yeah.
And this one was tough. I mean, I'm shooting a really heavy arrows, 1,250 grains. I shot them on all three of the animals. I brought some lighter arrows. I used the Garmin range finding profiles for different arrows, so you can have a lighter arrow and a medium arrow and a heavy arrow all with the same sight. You just go and change the settings, and there you go. And the new one, the Pro one, has what's called extra distance. So you turn on extra distance, and it says, okay, move your type in what the new setting is on your housing. So you got your sight there. You got the housing, and you just dial it down like you're doing some of those single pin freestyle sights. You say, oh, it was at 35. Now we're down to 52. It goes to 52, and it knows that this is where your pins were, and now it moves your pins and adjusts them so it keeps your pins where it needs to be, but it moves your housing down. So instead of doing 20 to 50 yards, now it's going to be 30 to 60 or 40 to 70. And that's I only get that kind of range on that sight because of how heavy the arrows are. Even though I shoot
on your bow, what bow are you shooting?
Matthews Monster Safari, and 28.5-inch draw, and 82.23 pounds was a draw weight. I used to have that as high as 90, but I just can't put the weight back on it very easily. While I was also trying to lose weight for this hunt because of all the walking I'd be doing. So I lost 25 pounds in the 3 months prior to the hunt. And I was pulling 90 pounds before COVID, but couldn't do that after. And I just have not been able to build up that muscle as easily after.
83 is pretty good. I have a bow that I shoot that's 84-pound draw. I don't shoot a 1,280 pound or 1,280 grain arrow though. So do you know what kind of speed you're getting out of that?
It's 193, I think. 190.
So you probably max distance on clearance and everything around the 60, 70 yard range with that setup, maybe?
I shot the elephant at 63 yards, and the furthest pin you could put out was 65.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
that was the bottom of the housing.
You were pushing the envelope on that one, huh?
Well, and I had another challenge on that one. I had not drawn back on an elephant until the last day. I had knocked a lot of arrows, but there was always something that would go wrong, or we finally get right up next to it or right up close to it, get ready, and I'm just ready to start drawing back. And my guy would say, nope, has a calf. Because the grass is tall, you can't see it's got a calf until you get up close. So now you're close. That's the other problem. See, now you're close to an elephant with a calf. So sometimes you don't find that it has a calf until you're inside that danger zone. So
and you can't shoot a tuskless with a calf. That's not part of it.
No. That's a big no, and I do not want to visit a Zambian jail.
Yeah.
But
how was your shot placement on the elephant? Take us down to the wire, making the shot, and what happens after you make a shot on an elephant with a bow and arrow.
We saw the elephant. It was one that I was about to draw back on when the parks ranger shot at an elephant that was charging us, but he fired a warning shot and just spooked the whole entire herd. So later we found that same herd, and turns out I was able to find that same elephant, and just couldn't get close enough. I used the XD to go as far down as I could go without running the risk of having the back fletches hit my sight housing. I probably could have got a little bit more yardage if I do the old invert the arrow going straight down and get a little bit more there. But 65 yards, do I want to shoot an elephant at over 65 yards? Not really. I want to get close to him. But I got close. I got 4 yards from a tusker, and I got 25 yards from quite a number of tuskless. But so it was 63 yards, and I draw back, and right as I draw back, she turns, and now she's facing me and looking right at me, and I'm standing there holding on. And I can't really let down easily, because you let down a bow that heavy with a 80% let off, and it just jerks your hand. It'll go from 16 pounds to 80 pounds like that, and you can't stop it. So I'm holding on to it, and I can't let down. And this elephant's just looking and looking and looking, and I'm continuing to hold. And Steve, my guide's like, "You want to let that down?" I said, "I can't." Fortunately, we're far enough that we can whisper, and she's not going to hear us. But I'm like, "I can't. It'll jerk my hand. It might pull the arrow off the string, and it'll, there'll be some movement and maybe some rattling. I don't want to startle her." And would you want to take a guess how long I held that at full draw?
Oh God,
4 minutes.
2 minutes and 43 seconds.
That's a good hold.
Yeah, and
Especially if I'm sure your heart was pumping. You were like, "This is my moment." It's just buck fever, right? The classic.
It's a little different than holding it at the range at 20 yards, and you're looking at a yellow circle.
You're right.
The two elephants that one that charged, the other one was about to charge, a younger one. They were on either side of her, and so I'm sitting there 2 minutes and 43 seconds before I shoot. I shoot, and I'm pretty fatigued at that point. Height was great. That was wonderful. Side lateral. I can hit the broadside of an elephant. A barn will be no problem.
Yeah. I
do not hit the heart, and I am I don't know if we're allowed to curse in your podcast.
Yeah, but you can do whatever you want, man.
I shot, and the first word out of my mouth was "fuck." And my guy's just like, "Oh dear God, here it goes." Now he was worried about the hippo shot. I wasn't. And he's like, "Okay, I was worried about that hippo shot, and you were fine with it, and the hippo died. You're worried about that shot. I'm really worried about that shot."
Yeah.
But complete penetration. Arrow just totally disappeared inside the elephant. Elephant doesn't run. It turns a little bit. The other elephants don't even move. I don't think any of the three of them realized that one of them was shot. So she turns, she starts wandering around, and I'm talking to Stephen like, "I got to get over there and do a follow-up shot on the other side." She's on the other side now. And if I get along, we'll be fine. And she's not spooked, so we should be okay. So we're slowly trying to creep up there. But we're in this marsh area. And you ever see Lord of the Rings, the dead marshes they've got to go through? I don't have Google to guide me, but that's what we're going through. And we're trying to slip in the mud. And so it's slow going. We're getting kind of close. I'm creeping down. Anytime there's some scrub that I can get behind, I get behind it. I'm coming up, and I hear one of the trackers. "He's down." They don't know their pronouns very well, so they said it's down, and I'm like, "What?" And I see Steve. He's just like, I look up, and all I see is some dust. I'm like, "You serious?" 7 minutes. 7 minutes from me shooting this elephant down. And Are you sure my elephant's down? Yes, they saw it go down. I'm like, all right. I'm like, "Steve, I want to get over there right away so I can get an angle and be able to put another arrow in if I need to." And the tracker's like, no, it's down. It's down. I'm like, "Yeah, I've seen animals go down and get back up. I've seen that happen."
Right.
Well, finally the two bulls leave, So, okay, we can go and check. And I see there's another elephant following them. I don't know how I would have missed another elephant in that group. I'm like, I think that's my elephant. And no, I'm like, I'm like, I think that's my elephant. And we look, I'm like, it's my elephant. And you got to be sure, because I don't want to tag another one and shoot two on one permit. But yeah, it was down for 3 minutes. It got up, started moving. So we go in there to try and get her again. But there's a big thing of water that we can't cross very easily. It's deep enough that it's got crocodile potential in it, and it's directly attached to the Zambezi. I'm like, I am not going to try and wade deep through crocodile-infested water. That's not happening. So I'm getting ready, and down goes Frazier. She's down again. And two elephants are trying.
This time she's across the creek, though, right?
Yeah, she's 65 yards out. I can't even really see her body at this point, but I can drop an arrow onto her if I need to. But I'm just staying there figuring if she gets up, I'm hitting, because I don't know what's going to happen after that. I'll put another arrow in anywhere, going to help out. But never gets back up. We can't get the other elephants away, though. They won't leave her. So the only thing, and we can't come close. They will absolutely charge. They're protecting a fallen comrade. And so the only thing we can do is we start a forest fire. So we go upwind of them and we start lighting the brush on fire. And we figured smoke and, seeing the flames, they'll take off. Eventually they did, but they waited a while. And, so finally that, we had it fortunate it would burn into that water. So it wasn't going to go all over the place, but it scared them off, got in there. And then we had to approach this elephant, not breathing that we could see, but, the dead animals are the ones that kill you. So I told Stephen, like, I can shoot another arrow in her just to make sure she's done. So I draw back and I shoot, and I bury to about there. I've got about maybe 1 inch of fletching sticking out of her body, and went right through lung, and into her leg bone, and broke the insert. Had a hell of a time getting that thing out, and then when we finally got it out, I lost the insert, lost the broadhead. So when we carved it up, we had to get the broadhead and insert out, plus my other arrow. And that was it. But 3 hours left in the day when we get done.
So was it a single lung on the first shot?
I believe that I got the spleen. The thing is, I didn't stay around for an autopsy on that, because you send word to the locals that you've got an elephant, and they come in. I mean, they were running in, one hand and a bag in another. And,
wow.
20 of them running in on the first wave. And it's crazy. And so I just explained to them that while they're cutting up, they've got to be very careful. There's a broadhead in there. There's an arrow in there, and I don't want them to cut. It's very sharp. And I showed them, and they said, okay. And we waited until they got that. And as soon as we got that, we got out of there. My guide's been doing that long enough. He says, look, they're going to start cutting, and pretty soon one of them's going to bump into another, and there's going to be a fight. And he doesn't want to be there anymore, because they'll have the villagers come out later and say, you gave this one this much meat, and I didn't get as much, and it's your fault. And it's like giving your kids ice cream, right?
Oh, wow.
Saying that the other one got more than they did. So instead, what he does is he calls the military out and gets a couple of the soldiers out there and said, you've got to keep the peace, and I'm out of here. And the villagers get all the food. So they got my arrows out, and then we left. But I may have got the lung. I don't know. But, the only other thing it could have been would have been the spleen. I don't think there's any other vital that'll drop an elephant in less than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And the first drop in 7 minutes. Yeah.
So you got 5 of the 7 dangerous. What 2 are you still after? I
don't have a leopard yet, and I don't have a rhino. And they won't let you hunt a rhino with a bow unless it's a green hunt. You can dart them, but if you want to actually do a traditional real hunt, you have to use a rifle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But so Zambia.
Do they do archery green hunts?
Yeah, they do. You have to find someone to let you use a bow, but I know it can be done. and I'm going to try and do that on my jaguar hunt in February. Don't have my leopard, but I'm going on a jaguar hunt in February, and it's going to be a green hunt. They're going to put a research collar on it, and anytime they put a research collar on it, well, you got to put them to sleep first.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I'll be trying to do that with a bow. I'll bring my daughter's bow because they need low poundage. You don't want to get a pass through on your research animal.
Yeah.
So I need my rhino and I need my leopard. I got 2 lions and I got 3 Cape buffalo so far.
That's awesome. What's your most memorable hunt in Africa?
In Africa, I would say it'd be this one.
Okay.
Elephant was dangerous, challenging, and there's not a single tuskless in the record books for bow hunters. I'm sure they've done it before, but I haven't ever seen any bow hunter take a tuskless.
Oh wow!
They generally are going for the tusked ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know how many have taken tuskless, but the elephant hunters know that's just being a tuskless is a hell of a trophy.
Yeah.
Because
So I mean, a hippo, an elephant, and a croc all in one hunt. That's a pretty good trip, right? I mean, compared to
that's all free ranging. This is wild Africa. There's no fences here.
Yeah.
8 of the top 10 crocodiles in the record books for bow are farm raised in South Africa. And that's I'm not gonna badmouth that. It's South Africa serves a place, and I've hunted South Africa quite a few times, and I enjoy it. But free range is different. Estate hunting is different than free range. You can get bigger animals in estate. Estate hunting is a little easier. You're going to work a lot harder for that free range stuff, and it's also it's not just you're donating the meat to the community. The community is coming out and butchering it right in front of you. And the morning I left, a couple hours before we leave, there's this huge commotion in camp. This woman is hysterical, screaming. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? I'm thinking, like, is she mad that somebody got more meat than her? I don't know. But I keep hearing the one word, not speaking English, but I do hear the word hippo several times. So I get up, get my flashlight, and look around. And the PhD gets up. He's like, what's all this ruckus? So the park ranger tells him one of the villagers was attacked by a hippo, bit by a hippo. And so they continue to talk, and I hear the tracker talk with the PH. He wants to go out, get one of the rifles and go out and look for it. And the guy's like, what are you going to do if you find a hippo? And he said, if I see it, I'm going to hammer it. He's going to shoot it. So anyway, Steve doesn't want any part of this because if he shoots it, they will try and say that he wounded it and that's why it attacked her, and they'll try and blame him. He's been down that road before, so he doesn't want to have anything to do with that. So the park ranger and one of the trackers go out there, and I'm trying to go back to sleep. I'm writing this up on my computer in bed, and all of a sudden, it's about 15 minutes after they left, I hear a loud boom in the distance. And then, a few seconds later, another one. 2 shots, 458 lot. I go, okay, fine. So I'm going to try and go to bed, laying there. About 10, 15 minutes later, boom, another one. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, okay, maybe they hit it. They came up and they finished it all. I don't know. So then a little bit later, I hear them talking in the chalet next to me. And they're talking, and I'm thinking, like, oh, hell, did this woman die? I mean, what happened? So I get up, I go over there, and like, is the woman okay? They said, oh, she's in the field. She can't move. She needs a ride to the hospital. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we got to go get her and take her to the hospital. Fine. And then one of the other guys says, the hippo was wounded. I'm like, are you kidding me? 3 shots with a 458 lot and the hippo was still alive. I look at him, I said, do you need to use my bow? And they laughed because one of them was on the other side of the river watching me shoot my hippo. And then one of them, I don't remember which one, just looks at me totally serious and said, can you shoot it in the night? I'm like, yeah, but it's packed up, and I'm not going out looking for a wounded hippo on land at night to shoot it in the dark.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like fun.
Yeah, but this lady needs to get to the hospital. There's a wounded hippo out there, so I go back, throw on some clothes. I'm actually wearing my Crocs because I packed all my other stuff up, and I grab my thermal because I probably got the nicest thermal in the entire area, and only other one who has one is probably Steve. So we go out there, and we don't even get to the village, and we see a whole crowd of people around this lady who's sitting on the ground. She's not bit. I don't see any blood, but it looks like she got trampled. Mm. And 4,000-pound linebacker hits you on a running play. You're gonna need to see a doctor. So we get her loaded up, get her in the back of the car, and this takes me a while to process what happened and understand what happened and why. We're in the car and grabs Steve by the collar and punches him. And just yelling, "This is my mother! This is my mother!" And we're like, "What is this from?" And this guy's so mad at Steve. He keeps going, "This is my mother!" And Steve gets out, and they have to pull Steve off this guy. Steve's about to beat the shit out of this guy. Why do you assault me? I'm here to help. Why do you assault me? And as I'm playing this back and processing and understanding after talking to a couple of villagers, they completely misunderstand where they live and what Steve is. They live in a game management area, but they've been relocated there and they moved there to farm. And they think they're in a farming area. And there's all these dangerous animals. And they think that, game management, he's the game manager. You're supposed to manage these animals. And I'm like, how do you manage them? It's like, you shoot them. We need protection. And we're like, that's not his job. He's not your animal control officer. He's managing the game for the animals to live here. And this one village like, we live here. I said, and where does the hippo live? Where does the hippo get to live?
Yeah.
Because in their mind, shoot all the animals, kill all of them. Then we will be safe.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And, and it was interesting because when I was sitting in bed before I came out and had that conversation, I heard the lady got attacked by a hippo, and the guy wants to go and get a rifle and shoot the hippo. And I'm sitting there, I'm typing, and I notice I'm crying in my bed, not like heaving, sobbing, but I've got tears. I'm like, why am I crying? I don't know this person. And yeah, life is hard, but I mean, okay, so I've got some empathy, but I shouldn't be crying over this. But I was just grief-stricken. I couldn't understand why. I'm just like, it's like, like women when they get emotional, they don't understand why they're like, why am I crying? I don't know, but I am, and that's why I'm laying in bed. I'm like, what is going on here? And then after we have this whole entire thing going on, then it dawns on me. My heart knew. It just took my brain a while to get there.
Yeah. This
does not work. The people encroaching in the wildlife areas will not tolerate the wildlife. And I knew that before, but now I've seen it. And it's dawned on me, this wild Africa will not be around much longer. In 20 years, 30 years, whatever time it takes, the population's still growing. They're going to be fed up with them, and they're going to kill all these animals.
Yeah.
We killed all of our elephants here in North America. We had the woolly mammoth. They didn't go extinct from natural things. We killed them. We were hunting them. They didn't want to live with woolly mammoths. They killed all of them. We had a lion bigger than the savanna lion in Africa. Those went extinct 20,000 years ago. Well, we had people here too. You know what? They didn't want that lion around either.
Yeah.
We killed them, and now from not having them around, they're going to do the same damn thing.
Yeah, throughout history, humans have found a way to eliminate all the dangerous animals that they're trying to coexist with. Well, not really coexist, but co-inhabit the lands. Like dragons to mammoths to tigers to wolves, you name it, right? Like we just kill them.
Yeah, I don't know who killed all the dragons, but
somebody did.
There might still be a few out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's but this part of Africa, it's going to get harder and harder to find. You have to go deeper and deeper into areas like the CAR and the old Belgian Congo or Cameroon or other stuff. But it's going to get harder and harder to find wild, unfenced Africa. And even then, at night, people ask, what do you hear lions? At night, I didn't hear any lions while I was at night. We saw some tracks, but what bothered me, what I heard most, was roosters. People farming chickens. We wake up in the day. I'd have breakfast in the Zambezi, and what do I hear? I hear a skill saw going off in the back because they're building housing. Most of the housing is pretty low end, but along the Zambezi River, they're going to build some nice fishing lodges.
Kind of takes away from the wild aspect of it, huh?
Yeah, it does, and it's sad. South Africa, they had to privatize their land to protect it.
Mm-hmm.
They might have to do that in some of these other areas, and fenced hunting is not the same as unfenced, but it beats no hunting. It beats no land or no wildlife.
Right.
Yeah.
But I read some of these old stories about Selous and Capstick. I think Selous, one of them, they shot 10 black rhinos before breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't do that.
Some of those stories like that, man, I've read some of those, and I really find those interesting. And it's the same thing with our history, too, with, seeing the herds of buffalo, miles wide and 10 miles long.
That world doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. And it's tough. That's one of the places that I know me as a young man looking up, like, in the hunting world and stuff, like, that's where I want to go because that's where it's truly wild. And then hearing you say that we're kind of starting to slowly lose that stuff, man, it's troubling to me.
My
and
kids
it's a
are
whole different mindset over there too of those people. And just like you're talking, they're just trying to make a living, and what they need to do to make a living does not include the animals over there.
No.
So it's just crazy.
But my hunting journal that I'm writing, my grandkids are going to read that, and Grandpa lived in a world that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and that makes me sad.
That's awesome that you're keeping that journal, though. Like, that is something that a lot of people that I think need to start doing and picking up. Like, my dad's got some videos and stuff, and not a bunch of writings, but every time we go over there and going through photo albums, telling stories, and we try to get these stories and keep them wrote down because you lose that stuff. It's just not the same. Every year it changes. So that's neat that you're taking that journal. I like that.
Yeah. So anyway, but the whole entire hunting in Africa is what really got me. I started archery 3 days after I bought a bow. I went on the R100 when it came to Fresno.
Yeah.
That got me hooked on 3D archery. And then I did hunting shortly after that, and I was fully hooked, and I loved Africa. And I called up Reinhardt, and I said, I want to buy a couple of your targets. They said, what do you want? I said, I want to buy your Cape Buffalo and your Sable. Oh, we don't have those targets. I'm like, yeah, you do. I said, no, we don't have those targets. I'm like, I shot them at your tournament. I know you have them. Well, those aren't for sale. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm confused. I thought you were in the business of making and selling targets.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't want to do that. They said, no, those are only for our 3D our R100 shoot. I said, okay, well, what do you have? They said, well, we can sell you a deer. We can sell you a bison or a bear. I'm like, those aren't African animals I want to shoot. And then I saw the Wildcrete targets, and oh my God. I mean, not only were they the African ones I wanted, they looked so much better than anything Reinhardt had. I mean, it was there's no comparison.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a good segue to where we kind of wanted to go with this podcast. Is like let's talk about how you got started with being a importer of Wildcrete targets. What drew you to that, and your involvement with Wildcrete, because I think you're pretty heavily involved with the company now too, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, you guys are younger than me. I don't know if you remember the old Norelco commercials.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, I love the shaver so much. I bought the company. Well, I didn't buy the company, but I love these targets so much. I became the North American distributor for them. I wanted the targets. No one in America had them. I called up the company. I'm like, who here in America has them? No one has them. I'm like, why not? Well, they're too expensive to import. I said, look, I'm not in the archery business. I'm in the walnut business, but we ship walnuts all over the world. And I have an entire room right outside my office. I'm like, just on the other side of that door there, with people who do international shipping all day long. I've got warehousing. I've got forklifts. I've got everything I need. I can bring them in, and I can distribute them if I have to. If that's what I've got to do to get these, then I'll distribute them. And I became the North American distributor for Wildcrete, and I've been importing them ever since. And it took me quite a number of years to get them to make a Cape Buffalo target for me. I made one. Now they made a second one. So I talk about detail. I mean, you've seen the Reinhardt targets.
Oh yeah.
How about that guy right there?
Yeah.
This right here isn't a target, but they made it into a target. This one's fiberglass, so he's just sitting in my office. But they made a target version of this now. That's one person can set it up. The big life-size Cape Buffalo is just too damn big. This guy's also life-size, but he's only the archery target is only about that thick at the top, about that thick at the bottom. One person can set it up. But no scoring rings on this guy because he's just fiberglass. But yeah, the scoring rings. Other things that I like about them, so they're so durable because I shoot such a heavy bow, and I would shoot that heavy bow all the time to practice. So I'm out there shooting an 80 to 90 pound bow. That's just blowing through targets. I can shoot the Wildcrete stuff with that kind of poundage, and it's not a problem because they have to withstand African bows, and they shoot heavier poundage there than we do.
Yep.
They also have to withstand African sun, which, unless you live in Phoenix, you don't have anything that's close to it. I live in Fresno, and it is not close to what they have. I got a sunburn over there, and I was wearing long sleeve shirt every day. Every day I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. I still got a sunburn on my arms. So, and
it's winter over there right now too, right?
Yeah. So all these targets, they're covered head to toe in exterior grade paint. So you get like a normal North American made target. They will, if it's a brown animal, it'll have brown foam, and then they'll spot paint black and white on it. Yeah. These things, they will hand paint the entire target. So you have UV protection on the whole entire target. And if you want your targets to last longer, this will help any brand. Actually help other brands even more than us. You get a little one of those little portable Johnson sprayers.
Yep.
And you put Thompson's water seal in it, and you just give them a light coat of Thompson's water seal twice a year. That'll give you UV protection and protection from some moisture, and then you're not breaking down that material so quickly. Because a lot of these things, the sun is just eating at the foam, and once that starts peeling or breaking up, then you just get into the open cell part, and it doesn't last very long after that, and it just starts showing its age. These targets, they last so much longer because they have exterior grade paint head to toe. Yeah. Also, all the bullseyes are in anatomically correct kill spots.
That's what I kind of want to hit on, because we have a lot of guys that are unfamiliar with shooting African animals, and they're always like, that why is that in that spot that it is? And I'm like, well, it's actually in the correct spot for that animal. And a lot of guys don't realize it. Like, we have an ibex. The ibex it's probably one of our most iconic targets we have, man. Beautiful creature, and that thing has been shot, after this year, I'm going to say 10,000 arrows in that thing, and you just cannot tell. But the score rings on that, a lot of people have a hard time pulling to that spot just because they're like, that's not really where I want to aim at that. And I'm like, well, that's where the heart is. That's where the lungs are. That's where
that's where you should.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember on my first trip to Africa, I shot 10 animals in 8 days. And my guy, we were sitting down at dinner, and he said, you know why you're so good? And I'm like, You don't need to butter me up, man. I'm already happy. You don't need to make me, kiss my ass or anything. He said, no, you're really good. I'm like, no, I'm not. I know how good I am, and I'm not that good. And he said, no, you are. And I said, and I'll tell you why. I said, why? He says, you do something that no other person that comes here does. I said, what? He said, you listen. I said, John, this is my first hunting trip in my life, and you're a professional hunter. Why wouldn't I listen to you? He said, you'd be surprised at how many people come over and they don't listen. You say, no, you got to shoot this animal here. But they've been shooting deer for 20 years, and they know what they're doing. And 3 wounded animals later, finally, they start saying, well, what's going on? I'm like, yeah, the vitals are in a different place here.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got to practice the correct locations.
I'm super looking forward to our trip next year, and I believe wholeheartedly that we've been shooting Wildcrete targets for 3.5 years now, and most of the targets that we have are African game, and we go for 12 ringers on those things, and I've gotten used to the shot placement on those targets, and I'm hoping that helps me out when the time comes to make the release on an animal when we're in Africa. I do think that's going to help us.
It can't hurt.
Yeah.
The more realistic your practice is, the better off you are.
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, the average American, regardless if they plan on going to Africa anytime or not, we're practicing on North American game targets. That's what we hunt. That's what we practice. We're locked in on that, heart shot on a deer, quartered away from a tree stand or whatever. And you practice that so much, I could see a guy going over there, and that's going to be their natural tendency to do, right? Regardless of the animal that's in front of them.
Yeah, we actually made a rifle target for that reason. And some of the guys that we talked to said, "Oh, it won't last. The rifle just shoot it up." And I'm like, "No, it'll last here." So you do some shooting tests, and they said, "Oh, well, my rifle is much more powerful than that." And I was talking to the owner. He's like, "Every one of these guys, their rifle is so special." And okay, we'll use this other rifle. Oh no, I'm using a nitro. I'm like, fine. They got so tired. They're like, okay, here's some test firing with a 50 cal BMG. If you're going to tell me that is not as powerful as your gun, we got to really wonder what the hell you're hunting.
Yeah.
And it looked like an arrow hit it. Because these things for the rifle targets, you're not trying to stop all the impact. You're just trying to show where the impact was. You can have a backstop, and it's going to go through. It's going to hit the dirt behind it. But the main point is, guys would go into these places in Africa, and they'd check their marks. Okay, you aim at a little metal circle, ding, yeah, your marks are good. That tells you that you can hit where you're aiming. Doesn't tell you if you're aiming in the right place.
Right.
And most of these problems are not people not hitting where they're aiming. They're not aiming in the right spot.
Yeah. They're missing. They're making good shots, but they're making bad shots. Right.
That's another thing too.
Shots in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
The big old crocodile that we have. That's another one, man. Awesome detail in that thing. That's probably growing into one of our favorite targets now. Although it is a pain in the butt to set up sometimes, but that thing, that is not where I would want to shoot that. Like, thinking about it, like when you look at that, like I want to hug up way closer to that shoulder, way up in there, and it's just it's kind of crazy to me to look at some of these and then realize, okay, I got some learning to do here.
Yeah, well, wait till you try and practice. And you're like, you know what? I need to hit the 10 ring and not the 11.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. That's news to me on this podcast here. Let's talking to you. Is I did not know that you did not want to shoot that thing in the heart.
Yeah, and if you are going for a croc, shoot me a message. I will send you photos and videos of an autopsy we did on my croc. We cut out the ribs. You can see the heart and the lungs, and it's not like a normal animal.
Wow,
the croc is very different.
I'd love to see that.
Do you know if that rule applies to like a North American alligator as well?
It stands to reason it should. That you'd want to have them come up on the land to die.
Right.
I would not want to have it die in the swamp and then be told, "Oh, just jump down the swamp and get it."
Right.
Yeah, I'd be like, "You do that, Skeeter."
Yeah.
I'm not down there. Yeah.
So, with you being kind of heavily influenced in some of this stuff, are we going to get to see any North American big game coming up soon at Wildcrete?
Yeah. So, when I was first trying to sell these, I'd have a lot of guys say, "Oh, we need more North American game." I said, "Well, what do you want?" One of them said, "We want, get a turkey or something." I'm like, "Okay, so we got a turkey." I show him like, "Here, we got a turkey." He said, "Oh, we already have a turkey." I'm like, "Oh my God, you're killing me, man." But we've got a decent amount of North American game, but we don't have all the big ones yet. We've got two different bears, a standing bear and then a bear on all fours with a fish in his mouth.
Yep.
And we redid the standing bear, so he's a little bit more of an aggressive pose. Then we got a bighorn sheep. I want to do a second bighorn sheep. I want to do a bedded one. We will have an elk coming out soon. We had to get some antlers over there for them to copy. Did a white-tailed deer that's been out for a few years. That was interesting because they asked me to get them some white-tailed deer horns. I've never shot a deer, so I'm like, yeah, I can get you some, no problem. I start calling out my buddies. Well, first off, there's no whitetail in California.
Yeah,
it's all blacktail here.
Blacktail, yeah.
And every person I talk to, they're like, "Oh, I'll sell you some horns." I'm like, "I don't want to buy some horns. I just want to borrow them." And finally, I ended up having to call my ex-wife and borrow hers. And she's a taxidermist. She sent me her own private the horns off of the antlers off of one of the ones that she shot. And so if you see the white-tailed deer, that's actually my ex-wife's antlers.
Well, yeah, we got that target. That's a pretty good deer.
Yeah.
You know what I like about the bighorn ram? I love the headgear on it. For one, it's a little bit difficult to take off and on because of the ears, but it stays in place.
Yeah.
And but I like his pose. He reminds me a lot of.
That's a casted copy of an actual.
Horns. Yeah, it's beautiful, and I like the pose that he has because it's almost identical to my favorite target is the ibex. Yeah, they're both just majestic, standing up. I don't know if you can see my shirt, but we've kind of modeled one of our logos off the ibex. It's one of my favorite targets of all time, not just Wildcrete. Like the ibex is a awesome target, and we've shot it more than any other target that we own, regardless. And it looks still brand new. There's barely any damage to it at all.
Yeah, I think that's what amazes everybody the most is how durable these things are, and like I said, we put these things through the test, man. The last few years, 3 years of having, hundreds of people coming and shoot these things. Very rarely do we have any that are just like completely blown out after a season. And if they are, it's usually on the backside of a thinner target. Like that's the only time you ever really see anything like that happen. And if it's got to be a thin target, and you see some of the blowout chunks. But other than that, my gosh, those things hold up so good, and especially for what we do. I'm pretty sure they weren't designed for what we do, going and setting up at several different locations and letting hundreds of people shoot them. They're probably more fit to set up at an actual range and just stay out there and get shot. But man, they hold up really good.
Yeah. And while you're showing off ibexes here, there's
nice.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was Spain back in May.
That's bucket list right there. Bucket list.
Yeah. So we'll have some more North American targets coming out. One of the things it's tough on the North American. We're not really going to find things that nobody has. One thing I do like is having something that no one else has. So
we love that, Mike. We have modeled our business on being unique. It's one of the reasons why we're so attracted to the Wildcrete. No other 3D traveling event host is pulling around Wildcrete targets that I know of. You don't see it at TAC or didn't see them at Mountain Archery Festival. I don't know of any other one in our areas, at least, that are doing that.
Well, there are other areas, but not in your area. So when I started bringing these in, I would take them to the Vegas shoot. I'd take them to Reading, and the locals that would drive there would get the targets and take them back. But I remember the first time I was in Vegas, I couldn't get anyone to buy the targets until the last day. They'd say, "Well, how do they hold up?" I'm like, "Oh, they hold up great." well, how are they against, say, a Reinhardt? I said, they're better. I said, they're better. I'm like, yeah, they look better. They're cheaper. They last longer, and they're easier to pull. And, they wouldn't believe me. I'm like, finally, I'm like, look, here's a shooting block. Let's walk over to the Matthews booth. Oh, well, I'll do it later. Well, they don't do it. And finally, I just grabbed a guy. I'm like, let's go. And we shot it with that 200-pound mission crossbow, just a block. I said, now let me show you how well this is. A 200-pound crossbow, right? I said, yeah. I said, I'm going to keep my pinky out here and this one, and I'll just use 3 fingers. And I pulled it out.
Yeah.
It wasn't super easy, but I was able to get it out with just 3 fingers. But they pull really well. They look great, but people are hesitant to try new things. Finally, at the last day, I had sold a few of my targets. We sold about maybe half the booth, and the next year I came back and I had my daughter. We got the booth set up. I'm kind of dirty, so I'm like, all right, Lacey, you watch the booth. I'm going to go wash up and take the trolley back to the trailer. And by the time I got back, it's half an hour past the start of the show. I get there and she says, Dad, I sold 2/3 of the booth. I'm like, are you kidding me? The people who bought targets the last day, the year before, the first thing they did when they opened the doors, where's that Wildcrete booth?
Yeah.
This, that, and this. And that's all we can fit. Next one, I want that, I want that, and I want that. They didn't take them. They just said, we'll get them. We wrote them up, and they pick them up after the event. They didn't take them right there so we could still display them. But yeah, sold 2/3 of our booth right after we opened up. And the next year, I filled up as much as I could physically bring in my car and my trailer, and I think I had 2 targets left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because we had the honor to have the Wildcrete course this year, which was a solid 20 targets of nothing but Wildcretes. And then we also sprinkled out the other ones we had across the other courses. But after they would get off the Wildcrete course, they would come back and be like, hey, which one of those can I buy? Do you have those here now? And we got a few of those targets to sell. And we didn't have very many at the end of the year. Like most of them sold pretty fast. And we're looking forward to getting the next shipment of those things coming up here pretty soon. But that is one thing that I think sticks out among all of our shooters is just how unique and detailed they are. And I'm talking detailed down to anatomically correct. We get a lot of guys. It's funny. You watch them on Facebook and they tag us and they got pictures of them standing with the butthole or the balls hanging down off of the deer. And it just cracks me up when I see that, and everybody's like, oh my God, I love these targets. I got to have one. So, we get emails and messages all the time. So we got some coming your way, guys. If you guys are listening to this, we got some more coming here soon. So be ready for that.
Yeah. And I'll say I've experienced kind of the same thing, Mike, is, some of the guys who bought targets early on in our season this year are now coming back to us months later saying, I want this, that, and the other next time you get a shipment in. So the list that I sent you for our next round of inventory, a lot of those are not pre-purchased, but pre-ordered, so to speak. Put these on the list when you get the next shipment in, So
yeah, that's the way it went for us too. Because the following Vegas, before we even got there, we had a list of bring the following things. This is what we want, and we're setting up. We're like, yeah, half our booth or 2/3 of our booth is already sold before we even got it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans for like a moose or a muskox or anything like that?
On those, the moose, it's great animal. Reinhardt had a moose, and then their moose mold broke. And molds break from time to time. And so they weren't going to redo it. The problem we have making a moose, you got to sell quite a few of them. Most people want a moose already have one. So, that's a challenge you get into. But then the guys at Reinhardt told me that they were redoing their moose mold. Given that, I'm a little hesitant to do a moose, even though I think we could do a better moose.
Oh, heck yeah.
There's, we got to look and see what is the return on the investment. So one of the first things we try and look at is what other countries are there that will buy these as well. North America versus some other stuff. One thing I'd like to do, it's not on the production yet, but a mouflon.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a great target. A lot of mouflon hunting now in Texas and other areas. Plus, they sell them in they have mouflon in Europe, and a mouflon basically is Barbary sheep. That is still a North African animal there.
Yep.
Elk. We'd like to get the elk there because you'll get that's basically a wapiti as well. So you got that in New Zealand.
A quick question on the elk, and this applies to the moose too. So, would your strategy be make it life size or scale it down to like half or third?
We want to scale it down. Life size is great, but the problem is that people who want to buy one for the backyard, it's just entirely too big.
A moose would be just way too big. Yeah.
Yeah. A scaled down moose is much more effective. Mm-hmm. And muskox. I don't know if we scale one of those down. That might be an option there because that's also that's a big target.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'd move enough of those to justify the cost because it's very expensive. That it's a long process. They've got to make a master sculpture. Then once they've got the sculpture, they bring in a professional hunter who identifies proper spots to shoot them in. Put the kill zones there. Then they've got to start making the mold for that. Then they've got to make a cast after that so they can replace the mold portions if they break. Then when they get everything else done, then they got to take out and create a core. If it's a two-piece, they've got to separate it and put those in. So it's about a year-long process to get these, and it's a lot of money to develop them. And so if you're not going to get enough of the move, that was one of the problems we had with the Cape Buffalo. They didn't think they would get enough of those moved. I said, how many do I need to buy to get you to make them? And then I said, when are we going to get the elk? And he said, well, they were kind of like, we'll get to it. And I'm like, all right, here's a purchase order for, X number of elk. Does that speed it up? No. Okay. Put a zero behind that. How many do I need to buy to get you to hurry the F up and get me these targets? But, we're also not the only country that they sell in. They have distribution in Europe. They have distribution in Australia. And, so they've got to cover some other guys as well. They're going to redo their roe deer. We don't have a roe deer here. They don't have a mule deer yet. I think we need to get a mule deer.
Yeah.
I think that, there's 5 deer in North America. But I think really it's the whitetail and the mule are the top two you need to get.
Those two will sell a lot in the U.S.
Yeah. And I'm working on a North American game now too. Nowhere near as far as I am with the African stuff, but I'm gonna want some stuff to practice with, and I prefer to have it our brand if I can.
Have you ever shot a nilgai?
No, I have not. No, I have not shot one of those yet. But someday, hopefully, I can get on one of those.
Yeah.
They got them in Texas, but I'd prefer to get them in native range if possible. Yeah,
it's been kind of fun though, following the Wildcrete Facebook page, watching them redo the baboon that they're doing.
That mandrill looks good.
Oh, holy cow, man! Like I think it's neat that they're showing all of that, what goes into that, and it's funny because I've noticed back 2 years ago, I was seeing maybe 10, 15, 20 likes on stuff, and I'm hoping a little bit of our success with the Wildcrete Targets is helping us out. But the likes are going way up on all the targets, so I hope that's working out, on our end, helping that out. But
okay, yeah.
Well, we talked about Africa hunts. We talked about your Africa hunt. We really haven't covered any other memorable hunts other than this last one that you were on. Is there anything else that give us your most epic story? You've covered a lot of ground in this world, so I'm interested to know.
One of the ones I'm most proud of to date It's not about a challenge. I mean, it was a challenging hunt, but sometimes it's more than the hunt. It's what the hunt represents. So when I was 1 year old, this is way back, right after we exterminated all the mammoths here in California. I was 1 year old, and some poachers in Uganda shot and killed the last Arabian oryx in the Middle East, and it went extinct in the wild. There was a handful of them at the Phoenix Zoo. And so the Phoenix Zoo started what they called Operation Oryx, and they started breeding them to try and breed back the population. But there's a limit to how many oryx a zoo can handle. So they took some of their excess population, sent them down to a ranch in Texas. They started breeding them in Texas. Texas is pretty good at breeding animals. You know who else is good? South Africa. So they ship them to South Africa, start breeding them there. Now all these game breeders who got all this surplus animals, what do? They start shipping them back to the Middle East. Private collections and breeding areas there. And 2019, there was a place that had started just a few years prior, Talal Resort in Abu Dhabi, spun off what they call Barari Hunting, which was the hunting arm of that would support financially the set aside of habitat for these animals. And so they had Arabian oryx, mountain gazelle, and sand gazelle. And it's a high fence operation because they had to do that to keep the feral camels out. Feral camel, when it eats some plant, it'll actually pull it up and eat the whole thing, including the root. And so there's a lot of habitat destruction when those things are going around and eating. But they set aside 20,000 acres for this, and I was the first foreign hunter to come there. Foreign meaning not from the GCC. You got 6 countries in the Gulf ones. You got Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, the UAE, and Abu Dhabi. So outside of that GCC country, I was the first foreigner to come over there and hunt. And I did all 3. I shot Arabian oryx, and I did a spot and stalk on the Arabian oryx, just going over the sand dunes to try and get it. And when I shot it, I submitted it to SCI, and it was a real problem because I couldn't bring the horns back yet. Still haven't been able to bring the horns back, and this is in 2019. So how do we score them, because it's a world record, and you have to have a master scorer there. And there's no master scorers in a country that up until now hasn't had any hunting. So they had to do some video conference calls to be able to score it and submit it in there. And it's like, well, there's nothing in the record books because there's no category for an Arabian oryx in Asia. They have Arabian oryx you can shoot in Texas or in South Africa. Well, those are introduced. We're talking native habitat. And so they were brought back to native habitat, and I was the first hunter to go in and legally shoot one in its native habitat. So I got an SCI world first on that.
Oh, wow. That's neat.
That one trip, I actually got 3 world records. Not that I'm trying to chase world records, but I think that people misunderstand what the real purpose of the record book is. The record book was started by Roland Ward in the UK, and he was writing down the length of the longest horn of these animals that were coming in. And the purpose of that was to know what the trophy quality was over time. And if you're getting consistently smaller trophies, you are overhunting the population. Mm-hmm. And if you're not getting a falling size over time, then you're not harming the population. And so the record book is not about bragging. The record book is to keep records of what is being shot so that you know if you are overhunting your population or not. That's the purpose of the record book.
Yep.
And so, I submitted those to the record book, but that was the whole purpose of it. And they had to make a new category for it. I'm going to pull up, where is it, right? Here it is. So here's the Arabian oryx that I shot. And
wow.
And so you're spot and stalking in that terrain.
I was going to say, where are you hiding at? Behind one of those dunes?
Yeah. Yeah, you hide behind the dunes. You can see the horns coming up in the distance, and you see, okay, based on that, he's facing that way, facing this way. And there was a herd of them. We kept chasing, but finally one broke off from the herd, and I could go after the two. I can go after the one. Well, if I go after the two, one will break off and probably hook up with the other one. So I just went after the one that broke off in the herd. And like a month later, Ricardo Longoria went and got one a little bit bigger than me. That's fine. He can take first place, but he can't take first ever from it. But that's a hunt that I was really proud of, because that really showcases how the revenues from hunting help set aside habitat for wildlife.
Sure.
And the thing is, the wildlife there is not just those three animals. There were eagles, there were foxes, other birds, other lizards that are also living in that habitat. And so this is where I kind of have a different idea of, say, the debate over captive bred lions. A lot of people think, oh, it does nothing for the habitat, or for the, there are people who firmly believe that it does not benefit wild lions. I said, who cares? It doesn't matter if it's not benefiting wild lions. If it's setting aside and protecting habitat for other species, isn't that worth it? If you say, you know what, we're going to farm raise some lions and shoot some lions, and it doesn't help the lions in the wild, but it does create another 200,000 acres of habitat for other wildlife, is that worth it?
Yeah, you're looking at it from a big ecosystem standpoint versus just one species.
Yeah, and sometimes you have one species holds up an umbrella to protect all the other species below it, and that's where you would get that. And so those things right there, they're setting aside habitat for other species as well. And then that was in 2019, and in 2022, it's 2022 or 23, I think it was 22. I went to Dubai for a conference, and while we were driving out to have dinner in the desert, they had a sand gazelle run by.
Oh, wow.
And that was one of the three animals that was on that ranch, and now they're running around wild there.
That's awesome.
What's that worth?
Yeah.
Worth everything, right? Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that wasn't a hard hunt per se, but it was a very, very significant in conservation that I'm very proud of.
Yeah, meaningful, right?
Yeah,
and to get part of that history is, man, that's historic too. Hopefully, years down the road, we look back at the success of that program, and like you were the first guy to step foot out there and hunt it. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a very impactful hunt for me. And it's not the exciting hunting story. It's the exciting conservation story that is behind the hunt.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty exciting to me, because I've been to Kuwait and I've been to Oman, and to be able to stalk up on an animal close enough out there in those dunes to shoot it with a bow, that's something.
Yeah, well, I only got I didn't get the sand gazelle that way. I had to get the sand gazelle from a blind. You can sneak up on maybe three animals and spin one off, but you get a herd of 20 of them, and this is not going to happen.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, any other exciting news on the Wildcrete target side that you can share with us and our listeners?
Yeah. So one other thing that we're going to be bringing out here, it's not Wildcrete brand, but it's the owner's son, Aim Block. So they've got the same foam from the Wildcrete Targets, and they make basically something that looks kind of like a shooting block, but it's got 4 V channels of different depths on each of the 4 main sides, and a little rope on it, and you can just throw it in the back of your car and throw it up on the hood, put your rifle in it, and use it as a rifle stand. You're not going to have to throw a blanket over the hood of your car. Not going to get it scratched, and you can flip it over to get whatever height you want on that thing. And I'm not a rifle hunter, but the rifle hunters who've seen it, they're like, "That's awesome. Can I get one?"
Yeah.
So they're selling really well in South Africa, and I'm bringing those over now as well.
Can you describe the dimensions, rough dimensions of what this is?
It's well, I don't have one. I should have brought one and have it here, but it's
I mean, like, are we talking this or?
it's about this big.
Okay.
Yeah, and so a little bit smaller than a normal archery shooting block.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I would have done differently would make it a little bit longer, so you put it up on an end and it makes a nice stool to sit down on if you need to. But yeah, it's lightweight. Throw it in the back of your truck, and in an emergency, you can use it as an archery shooting block too.
Yeah.
And there's some value there also if you're a rifle hunter who occasionally does something with a bow. You have a piece of equipment that'll do both. But yeah, it's nice to be able to throw that in and have a nice portable block. A lot better than sandbags, and so that's been pretty popular in South Africa. We'll have that. Actually, I have some in stock now. I just haven't started doing the marketing on those yet. I'll have to get that going. That, and then I'm sure you guys saw the Goblin. Yeah, that's I like that. We're gonna try and do one monster target a year to get that line continue. We started with the werewolf and then the scarecrow, and then the Goblin. My daughter drew that when she was 11.
That's
even better. That's even better. My 7-year-old is ate up with that Goblin target. That's the one that he wants to have. Like that's his number one target right now.
Yeah, and I've got some designs for some other ones that look pretty good, but they've also got to be modified so they're stable. Because if you have it looking really good but it doesn't work as a target, then it's a problem. Like the Goblin, we had to make sure the hat and the ears kind of tied together so it's more stable that way.
Yeah.
So there's some modification that need to go occasionally to make these targets a little more sturdy. But we'll be continuing to have more new targets and updating some of the older ones as well. So they're updating the lion. I believe they're updating the bedded lion.
Yep.
Next, I told them, like, really, you're gonna do a third male lion and no lioness? Come on, man. But yeah, we've got some other things going in there, and then there's some others that are kind of work in progress that not really announcing just yet.
Sure.
But to your point on the moose, I'd like to get a moose at some point. Trying not to overlap with our competitors on targets. So like I don't ever expect us to do a Sasquatch, because that Reinhardt has that. It's a signature animal for them now.
It is. Yeah, it is.
We're gonna not try and step on their toes. We're not gonna do a Velociraptor, I don't think. Although their Velociraptor is really kind of a hybrid. There's plenty of other dinosaur to do. When you run out of those, then we'll have some overlap. We're not gonna say North America, we're not gonna do anything someone's done, because they've done everything here. So we'll do all those. But I told the guys, I'm like, we do a lot of African game. Don't do a gazelle. Reinhardt has a gazelle. We don't, if we're going to do another new animal, do a black wildebeest, do a bongo, do something else. We got a black wildebeest coming. Don't know if we'll have a bongo, but I love that animal. That's a beautiful antelope there is, the bongo.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to go shoot one to get some horns and write that trip off.
There you go.
Yeah, but we're gonna focus more on the North American if we can, and try and get more of those North American games. I want to get a mountain goat. I think that'd be a good one to get. But I want to have two, and then we can do alternate paint jobs on the two, so we can have like a stone and a white, or a stone, a doll, and I don't need necessarily four separate molds. 2 molds and 2 paint jobs of each probably would cover it. But I'd like to have one bedded.
Yeah. We're a fan of the bedded targets. We love the water buck. Is it?
Water buck.
Yeah.
They make setup for us real easy. You don't have to have stakes or anything. We can just like literally sit it in the ground in front of a tree and send it. So we're a fan of the bedded stuff. It also makes the shot a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
And another thing, like caribou would be cool to have.
Yeah.
I like the look of the Reinhardt caribou, but it's. I think you guys will knock it out of the park if you ever make one. Like, I just think that and the moose. I think I'm excited to see what Wildcrete would bring out of that. I think it's just going to be gorgeous. And some of these targets you get, like, man, I almost kind of wanted to set that up in my house as a display because they look so good.
I strongly suspect that maybe half the Rexy targets we sell never get shot.
Yeah, right.
They get shot at my house.
Kids see it and they fall in love with it.
Yeah.
And I've had people tell me, like our otter or some other target, they're like, "Oh, it's just too cute to shoot." I'm like, well, buy it and don't shoot it.
Yeah.
But speaking of too cute to shoot, the reason the company is called Wildcrete is because they started out making wildlife sculptures from concrete.
Okay.
They were in the statuary business.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing, and that's all about detail and realism. And so that's what they had their skill set there. That was their strength. And later, when their kids started getting older, they started doing archery events as a family outing. They went to a 3D shoot, and they didn't have any good targets there in Africa, so they decided to start making their own. And that's how we got that. And so the name Wildcrete is because they were making wildlife out of concrete. And we need a gemsbuck. That's the other one that we really need.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's one where we could do another paint job and make it an Arabian oryx and get a different set of horns and make it a scimitar.
Right.
Yeah, so get a little bit of extra width in our breadth in our offerings. But we've got over 100 targets. I mean, all the North American manufacturers combined have 7 or 8 African targets. I can do over 50 without repetition for a single shoot. So I think that we see more safari shoots. And there's one other thing that I would say. I run into a lot of clubs who will not want the African targets to say, "Oh, we shoot North American here," and I kind of understand that in some regards. But then I've asked them. I said, "So you don't shoot any African?" I was like, "No, we all shoot North American here." I said, "Okay." I walked your course. I noticed you have 2 bighorn sheep targets there. Yeah. I said, "I'll make you a bet. Bet you $1,000 that you cannot find people in your club that have shot those bighorn sheep in real life with a bow. Mm-hmm. You can't find more people that have shot African animals in your club. I bet you got more people that have shot zebra and kudu than have shot bighorn sheep."
Sure. Yeah. I would be on your side of that bet. Yeah.
And just because they're not in your local neighborhood does not mean that people don't want to shoot them.
For sure.
And so there are a lot of people who overlook the exotics. And I mean, exotic hunts are fun.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
I'll tell you an underrated one that's probably going to get a lot of attention is the pink flamingo.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that I've been showing that to here lately. I'm like, that's the next on the list.
There's 3 different models of that. And I will tell you right now, get some thick skin when you get that out there, because you will have some people complain like no tomorrow because they can't find the spot.
Yeah.
It's a hard animal. But you know what? I don't like painting orange dots on my targets. I like it to look natural. It's a hard target. If you don't paint an orange dot on that or some off-color dot on that, you are going to have some people really, really struggling. Like, well, you bought binoculars. That's what they're there for. Look it up. Find out what the thing is. You sit down, like, where was that again? You put it. Okay, that's where it is. They put it. Where the hell did that thing go?
Yeah,
it's hard. It is deceptively difficult.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah, we like to set up difficult shots. Not impossible, but difficult and
you can hit the bird. It's just you may not necessarily hit where in the bird you thought you were going to.
Yeah.
We would set that one up at the edge of a lake, and if you miss, you're swimming for your arrow. You're kissing it goodbye.
They had somebody talk about that I don't know what hole it is in Carmel, Spyglass. The green out on the water.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They said that is a ball eating SOB, and people get so mad they lose so many balls there. But then once in a blue moon, they go from the tee and hit the green, and it makes it all worth it. They're like, you know what? If I got to throw 15 balls in there, I made that one shot. They're going to remember that and treasure that memory more than what they lost on the other shots. It's like that, these other shoots like that, hard shots, but when you make them, they're rewarding.
Yep. That's 100% what we hear from our archers right there. Like, you know what? That was crazy, but I lost 4 arrows and broke 2, but I finally made it in, and I'm good to go. So, yeah, that is.
Yeah. I've never felt that kind of satisfaction from hitting an X at 20 yards on a Vegas face.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In our tent, as we grow as a archery company, we want to continue to grow our Wildcrete fleet, and we're setting out 100 to 150 targets per event, and I think we're up to half of them are Wildcrete. The other half are a mix of mostly Reinhardt, a few Deltas in there, but mostly Reinhardts, and we want to continue to extend that share of Wildcrete targets in our fleet, just because they're superior in our opinion. They catch more attention. You can't go anywhere around here and shoot those. There's a few clubs in Kansas that have Wildcrete targets, but they're not exclusively Wildcrete, so it's a handful of different ones. And it's been good for our business, and we love them, and we're going to continue to use them.
Well, that's good. I want more clubs to use them because I bought these. I wanted to be able to shoot them. And it turns out it's a lot of work for me to go and set them up and take them down and move them around. It's a lot easier for me just to go to some other club that's doing the work for me.
There you go. Yeah. Well, we'd love to have you out in one of our events next year if the timing works out for you. I know you've got multiple ventures, and you're in the walnut business, and then when you're not, you're probably on a plane headed somewhere to hunt or on the ground somewhere hunting, right?
I love 3D archery, but it's never going to beat out actual hunting.
Sure.
My options are go hunting or do a 3D event. It's going to be hunting every time.
I agree. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah. No. Yeah, but if it's not that, then I'll go out and shoot a lot of 3Ds.
So let's talk a little bit about where guys can go. Like, what's the easiest way for guys to get their hands on these Wildcrete targets if they're not at a Shot 3D event or they don't know us? We are, selling them and dealing them at our events, and you can email us, and we don't have an extensive line of your inventory yet. We're working on that, but that's one way to get them. But if they can't come through us to get them, where can they go?
So every year we are at the Vegas shoot, and we're at Reading, and we have targets there all every year. So if you're going to either of those, send us an email, say I want X, Y, and Z, and we'll make sure that we bring them there. We're doing a few other things as well. We're both, myself and my business associate and partner, Thomas, business partner. Thomas, got to clarify that. There's no confusion. This is California, right?
Yeah, you're in California.
Yeah. So, most of our things that we go to and can bring inventory to are in the Western U.S. We ship small things. You can ship UPS when you start getting about the size of a hyena or even like a feral pig. They get a little bit too big for UPS, and they start getting incredibly expensive to ship. So when you get above that, you want to ship on a pallet on a truck. And if you're going to ship on a pallet on a truck, ideally you'd want to fill it up because you're going to pay almost the exact same amount if the pallet's 1/4 full, totally full. And generally I can get, $3,000 to $4,500 worth of targets on a single pallet. And then your shipping per target is not so bad. Mm-hmm. If that's targets and you want, talk to a local club, talk to somebody else, and see if they want to go in with it. The first thing I'd run into is people don't want to invest that much on a target they haven't shot before. I'm like, well, I can't do much about that. You can buy a few small ones, test it out, and then decide, okay, we'll buy some more. But yeah, you can contact us through Facebook. Contact me on WhatsApp.
Give us your email address real quick. If
Mike,
somebody,
my email address is Mike, Mike, at wildcrete3d.com. WILDCRETE, the number 3 and the letter D.com. Yeah, or you can WhatsApp me, 559-287-1555. And be happy to get you over catalog price list and see what we can do about shipping you some targets.
Perfect.
awesome. Or the best way, come to the 3D shot or shot the 3D experience event. You can see them firsthand. You can shoot them, and we are carrying inventory at all of our events. You can possibly buy one that you like and take it home with you.
That works as well.
Yep. All right. Anything else you want to share with us, Mike, before we get off here? We've been on for about an hour and 45 minutes. And
now just looking forward to hopefully getting out to one of your events sometime here, and also getting some more North American targets to shoot, and North American targets to taxidermy.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you are a wealth of knowledge in the Africa side, shooting with bows. You got a wealth of accolades behind you, man. It was a pleasure to have you on. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your sponsorship and shot this year, and look forward to continuing that year after year. And hopefully we can bring you more value with our events and get your targets spread out to the Midwest more and more. We're seeing it. It was a little bit slow at the beginning of the year, but we picked up pretty heavily, and now we're getting, emails and messages and whatnot from those who have been at the event wanting and looking for the targets. So hopefully we can extend that sales in this region and continue to work with you, man. We certainly appreciate you.
Yeah, I think you'll find some success at that. What we found is when people buy a target or two, they come back and they start buying a lot more, and until it starts dwindling off. We'll have clubs that'll buy a couple and then they'll just buy a whole bunch, and then it'll slow down because one thing that happens is they last.
Yeah.
And so, we were selling a couple of these clubs. They were just buying tons of targets every time they'd see us. Then it started dropping off, and I asked them what, were they unhappy or why they stop buying so many targets? And they said, well, we've got almost all our range converted, and they're not wearing out.
Yeah, we don't need them. Yeah. That's it's a good and bad thing, right? It's bad for selling, but good for the customer. And we experienced the same thing. We were a first-time buyer 3 years ago. We took a chance. I just Googled. We wanted to be unique, and Brian and I spent probably a couple weeks just surfing the internet looking for different targets, and we came across the Wildcrete. I'd never heard of them before. We got our hands on a very small shipment the first year, fell in love with them, and made the decision then we're going to continue to use these and hopefully more of them as we go along. We contacted you. You were gracious enough to partner with us for our first full year, and been shooting Wildcretes now for 3 years. So we appreciate it, Mike.
Much
love to you.
Appreciate you, Mike.
All right. Well, thank you very much. You have a good
Thank you.
evening.